together is when we started making serious money.
Yeah.
When we got together and started truly helping other people, helping other agents, helping build their businesses, helping our clients, being able to go out and give.
What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today in office, man, I've never interviewed 4 people at once, but these are special for people that I love being around. Great freaking energy, positive, have built something special, and are also helping a lot of other agents around the world, which is really cool, especially in the U.S. They are out of Jersey, the Diversified companies, Mike Rose Sr., Anthony, Mike Jr., and Dan of the Rose Boys, and I'm excited to interview. So, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here.
Good to be
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Excited.
Love what you're doing, Cody.
Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely.
It's cool that you guys are a part of it and supporting it. You're here for our 1% conference, and then we're in the studio hanging out for
Sure.
So cool.
It is so cool.
Kind of need to walk around the offices a little bit. It's a gorgeous place to be at.
Thank you.
Took a little work to get to Springfield, but we're here now.
Hey, man, it did, man. It did, yes. Especially with some travel debacle.
Yes,
you know?
sir.
It's all good.
I'm excited.
But we're here now.
You are. I'm excited to come to Jersey at some point, too.
Yeah, I think
know?
end
looking
of
forward to
February,
it.
right? Coming up to see us end of
Middle.
February.
Yes.
Middle of February.
Yep, February, and then also, I think we're doing an event in September.
September 6th. that's
sure.
what it is.
2024. Yeah, which would be really cool. Mike Sr., I am super impressed by what y'all have done. Most people in the industry never get to the level that y'all are at, even though you probably don't think it's, anything abnormal per se, but it is. How cool is it to be sitting here with, the Rose Boys all hanging out together and getting a chance to share your message with our audience?
It's a blessing, Cody. I never thought it would end up coming to this. I started something, but I only started it. What they've been able to do coming into the business, and they each came in at different times, going out and getting other experience, and then bringing that back and teaching me. People think just because I was the founder that I was the one who started this company. Yeah, I got it going, but these are the guys that actually got it going. I
love that.
They brought their talents, their abilities, their education, and I was able to bring street smart to it. And so we've been teaching each other since each one of them have gotten into the business. So yeah, I was a struggling insurance salesman. Did what I had to do in order to make a living. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work.
Yeah.
But always stayed in business. We've been in business now for 48 years. And I've just watched it grow exponentially over the last 25 years. The little bit of growth that we had, we were a small agency. Wanted to do something a little bit bigger, wanted to make a living. That's pretty much what it came down to. Did I ever expect that I would have all 3 sons involved in the business? No, that was a little bit of a surprise to me. A dream, certainly, okay, but was never forced or pushed, even though they've all been in the business, involved in some way in the business from when they were 8, 9, 10 years old, from helping me put together leads that we can mail out, whether they were sorting them or
He dressed us up as clowns as kids.
and going to the next step, not just working and then getting them involved in computers, something I didn't know anything at all about, so that they could teach me, and doing the different marketing things, having one of them, I won't tell you which one at this point, they'd have to admit that on their own, dressing up as a clown and going out and standing on the street handing out flowers dressed as a clown, telling them about the insurance store that was the original business that we had started.
I'm sorry, did you just say we taught you computers? We're responsible for your computer knowledge?
Well, you didn't do a very good job. I didn't say you did a very good job. Okay, but I figured if I could teach them how to learn how to be more inquisitive about it, that they'd be able to come back and teach me. They have not been successful with that yet. Okay, I don't profess that they are.
Sounds like he still got his hopes up, though.
Nah, at this point I've given up. I don't really care. At this point,
We're going to work on the iPhone first before we go to computers.
So bringing them in, it was always a challenge. We've had our ups and our downs, but bringing them in is when we really started to grow. Was able to make a living, and personal sales, bringing and training individual agents one at a time, having 1, 2, 3 people, and then bringing them in. And first, Anthony, after he graduated college, going out and finding a job. I didn't want any of them to come to work for me right out of college. And they went out and they ended up getting experience. Anthony first, and he was doing something in the recruiting business that I looked at what he was doing. He was telling me about some of the things that he was doing. I said, hey, that's cool. You know what? I'm going to hire somebody. And I was trying to hire somebody. I was looking to pay some pretty good money to do what he was doing because the success that he was having for his other businesses just wowed me. Wow. So I wanted to hire somebody. And he was working for a Fortune 500 company in New York City.
Wow.
And he said, Dad, I need to talk to you. I said, what's up? He said, I just got an offer for a promotion. He said, I want to talk to you about it before I go in, I go to meet my boss tomorrow. I said, okay, cool. We went out to dinner. We're sitting there. And he's asking me questions all night long, and I'm trying to give him some advice. And then I asked him a question. I said, let me ask you something. I said, one question I want you to ask your boss before you leave the interview is ask him how old you'll have to be before you'll be a partner and owner in the business. And he said, huh? I said, ask him, when could you become a partner? When can you actually be an owner in the business? He said, I'll never be able to be an owner in the business. He said, it's a publicly held company. I said, oh. He said, well, what do you mean? I said, you've learned a skill. Okay, I'm looking to hire somebody that has that skill, and you happen to be my son. Where do you think the business is going to go? I mean, I'm going to get to a certain point where you're going to be able to take over and do what you need to do. He said, wait a minute, I worked for you already. I've been working for you since I'm 16 years old, all through college and everything. You taught me how to sell. I went out, I'm using those skills in the job that I'm doing now. I said, yeah, but now you're teaching me something else. Now you've got experience that you can come back and you can start doing something for the business. And at some point, you could be a partner.
And that was his mistake because that's where my negotiations began.
That is where they began, and they haven't stopped since then. But now I'm looking for my allowance.
That's right.
Is what it comes down.
Is he a good negotiator?
And he's an excellent negotiator.
I love that.
He's he has a different perspective than I do on everything, so it makes it very interesting. And then he ended up coming in, building a team like we hadn't had before, and we started building up the agency, and that was in the final expense business. A few years later, Michael was going to college, and he's getting ready to graduate from the seminary. He was going to be a Catholic priest. He always wanted to be in more social services, but he was learning a lot about computers at that time. And he ended up graduating, and he was going to commit to the seminary. And he made a decision because he had met his wife at a very young age, and he had to either give up the wife or go on to the next step. And they tell their story a lot better than I do. I'm just talking about how they ended up getting involved in the business.
Totally, which is perfect.
So of us, Mike is without a doubt the most humble of us, and he's not going to say it, but this month right now is actually the 20th anniversary this month right now of him being in the business.
Oh,
but he won't say it, so he's celebrating 20 years right now.
20 years. So he ended up, I said, Mike, you now have computer skills, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're looking, you don't think you want to go now, you think you want to stay with Faith, which thank God that they did, and now that they have 8 children, and they've been married for 19 years now.
Wow.
And I said, you can bring something into the business. Anthony and I talked, and I said, talk to your brother. See if what we want to do here. He can bring another aspect in that I don't know anything at all about, and you're doing something different. See where we can go, with this. They talked. The next thing we knew, Michael was in the business.
Then the negotiating began.
And then the negotiations really started to come in. Then and help me with the years, guys.
2010 for me.
2010. So then 12 years later, 14 years later. No, it's been 14 years. I'm sorry.
So in our family, we have like a little ongoing joke that when things are off mathematically, we call that Mikey math. That's Mike Jr. math. So I think we just got Mikey math on that. Some of the numbers didn't make too much sense. But.
So it's been 14 years since Dan has come, and Dan they all graduated from Seton Hall University, which I'm very proud of.
Oh, wow.
All 3 sons graduated from. I'm a high school dropout, so to have all 4 of my children graduate from from college, it was a major accomplishment that I've just been blessed with to be able to do, with my children. So all three of them graduated from Seton Hall, and Dan was very much involved in sports, and he ended up getting a job in an arena where he was learning marketing and how to get people into the facilities that he was working with. And he was loving what he was doing, but wasn't happy where he was at. So I started planting the seed because it was never intentional to bring any of them into the business, right? And started talking to Dan. I said, Dan, what you're doing with marketing, you're putting these pieces together. You're doing mailings. That's kind of what we do. You could take it, bring it to another level. I planted the seed, and then I told Anthony, and talk to your brother. Okay, we can use him in the business, and
he's the family recruiter.
And then the negotiations began.
Then the negotiations really began. So
we'll keep it PG, but it's really, I think it's more of a chops busting to say PG.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
And not
yes,
not negotiations.
yes.
And next thing you know, the deal was they were going to get, as they went along, and the more they contributed, they had to have the owner intensity. So they started off all as employees. They all started off in sales, went out into the field. Each one of them were taught how to actually sell and get out into the field and work the business, find out what the business is all about. Nobody's coming into a sales business without having some sales knowledge. Know what our people are going through. Know, because if you try and speak to somebody out there that doesn't know and just tries to teach you, and they haven't been through it themselves, they don't know what the ups and downs are. And if they think that you haven't been, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you haven't experienced it, you don't know what their problems are. So it was something that was important, and each one of them did that, learned, and we've certainly had our ups and downs through the years, even working together. There were times when there were no paychecks, and it's like, oh, geez, okay, these are my sons. What do I do now? There's not enough money to meet payroll. Well, we got to pay everybody else first, but we have to take the hit. Oh, how do I make them take the hit? They have families. Okay, all right, so I can't take a paycheck. Guys, you can't take a paycheck either. We're going to do what we got to do. And there were times that we went through that, and each one of them were committed to it. We did whatever we had to do to get it to a point where we were able to grow it. And the blend, the three of them have just taken it to just a completely different level. I was blessed to be able to start it, but God has been with us and has just looked over everything, and I had no idea this was his plan, and his plan came together. And it was a dream for me, and I'm just a blessed man.
It's amazing. Yeah, such a cool group. Thank you for sharing that too. Like how you're walking through that is really, really neat. Also, too, before I go to each of them for a quick second, who's the best salesperson of these three?
Who do you think is? Oh, it was just with his question. I thought
this is for him. I mean, I could answer it, but I have no idea.
You realize you'd be a fool to answer that question, right?
Excuse me, I was asked the question. And of the Rose Boys, right?
Correct.
Me.
Exactly. I knew that was coming. And you know what?
They believe, okay, that they are.
Correct.
But I don't know, I think I did a hell of a selling job to bring them into the business and get them to
true.
where they're at
That's
right
right.
now. So even if I don't have those skills anymore,
which you probably still do.
no, I don't. I don't need them anymore.
Well,
you know, it's amazing. The greatest part of this whole thing, Cody, is I've said it to a number of people. I'm still actively involved in the business, not as much as I used to be, nowhere near as much as I used to be, but still very much involved and want to be and want to continue to be. But it's at a point now where I could sit here right now, keep my mouth shut, have you ask me the questions, and have them each one of them give the answers, and it doesn't matter if I open my mouth or not. If we're sitting in a meeting, we're talking to anybody at all, and something comes up, and it's, and I sit there and let me open my mouth. I said, no, shut up. One of them is going to come up with the exact question. One of them is going to have the exact same thought. So it's bittersweet. It's mixed emotions. Yeah. I'm not necessary any longer. I'm just not necessary any longer. So, but I'm so proud and so blessed to be able to have them. They can handle anything. They do. They handle everything. And whatever I can think of, they're already thinking about it. And if they're not thinking about it this second, I can guarantee you before the end of the conversation, one of them is going to. And I've proven it over and over and over again. I just sat back and thought, no, wait a minute. See what happens. And it's like, oh, there it is. He's got it. Oops, there it is. He's got it. Oh, there it is. He's got it. Every single time. It's not failed. Amazing. So it's bittersweet. It's mixed emotions. I'm a blessed man to be able to be in their company and to be able to continue to learn from them, and for them to keep me on my feet, and to just keep on going on living this life alive, because it's all about just living, like Bon Jovi says, just going to live this life alive, and that's something that I think we all do on a daily basis, with God's blessing.
Amen to that. Yeah. Well, yeah, and too, like what different, like you mentioned earlier, like what different people can bring to a business and a company, and the fact that, like business is not always perfect. It's not always easy. Sometimes the finances are amazing. Sometimes they're not, and for them to believe in you and the future, to be like, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to, we can't take a paycheck. We're not going to take a paycheck either. Yeah. That's cool. What was your original first thought when that happened? I'm guessing this was, I don't know, decades ago or whatever, but like just in general.
Which part?
Well, not only of coming in the business, but also like, you know what?
The struggles of not being able to take a paycheck when it hurts.
Yeah, just the stuff that, agents and business owners go through.
I mean, every business owner goes through it, whether you're an independent guy by yourself who's just making 1099 income and your commission didn't come in for the week, or whether you have a big business and there's no money came in, or there's more bills than there was money. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
As crazy as it sounds, it actually gives you a bit of ownership when that happens, and when that happened, it sucked, of course. Yeah. But in the same token, I think all of us always believed that it'll come around twofold and threefold and fourfold.
Amen.
So, and it did.
Yeah.
But it always stinks, but it's always good. When it's good, it's good. And when it's not, it's not. And that's just part of being a business. I don't care how small or large your business is.
Yes.
It helped that they weren't brought up with silver spoons in their mouths. Trust me, there were times that we didn't come from a family that's had money. I started
at what age did you start to like make some income, like start to make multiple six figures, or like some good income where it's like, okay, we're growing?
Which time?
Yeah, it's which time.
Okay.
My goal. I started off at 8 years old as a shoe shine boy in Newark, New Jersey. Patterson, New Jersey, going around and shining shoes. So I was a businessman when I was 8, and learned that the only way I was going to end up bringing money in is getting my butt out there and going to work. Had some good times. Like I said, I was a high school dropout. Did what I had to do to learn. Found myself always falling back to sales. And what I realized in sales was that I could make whatever I'm worth. If I want to get up and I want to go to work every day, I can go make money. If I want to get lazy and I want to sit back, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills.
Yes.
So there were times when I was lazy, when I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing to go out and get the job done, because I didn't want to do it, because I didn't like it. And obviously one of the keys to success is going out and doing the things that you don't want to do, that you don't like to do. But there were times where we just weren't making money. So we struggled a lot. I started making some money, some decent money, when I was about 21, 22 years old. Okay. And by the time I was 25, fell apart and had to start all over again. By the time I was 30, my goal was to be a millionaire. I was a millionaire by the time I was 30. By the time I was 31, I didn't have a pot, to do anything in. Foreclosed on my homes and personally bankrupt a couple of times. Went up, went down, went up, went down. And these kids, when they were kids, they did not have all of the extras, okay? It was, things are good, we're eating pretty good. Otherwise, we're going to Nanny's house, and Nanny's going to make pasta, and that's what we're going to have for dinner. We're going to go visit my mother, and let's see where we can go from there. And we had a number of those. So they grew up that way. They weren't, oh yeah, geez, daddy's got money, so yeah, they're in the business and they came. No, they've earned every single thing. And together is when we started making serious money.
Yeah.
When we got together and started truly helping other people, helping other agents, helping build their businesses, helping our clients, being able to go out and give.
Yes.
That's when things happened. Thank God the last time that we had my major failure was at 40 years old. Everything fell apart again after building it back up. Bankrupt, foreclosed on my home, walking down the street with Michael one day, and we're going down the street, and my car had just broken down, and I was picking him up from school. And we're walking home, and he said, "Dad, how come we're walking home? It's a beautiful day. We're gonna walk home. We're gonna have a good time today. We're gonna walk home." And we're walking down our block, and he looks at our telephone pole. It's there, and he said, "Dad, what is a foreclosure?" And he's still learning how to read. Foreclosure. What does that mean? I said, "Oh, that's when somebody wants to sell their house." He said, "We're selling our house?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "That has our address on it." I said, "Oh, yeah, we decided we're going to move, Mike. We don't want to live here anymore." We weren't going to live there anymore because they were foreclosing on the house. We were losing it. Okay, I took a lot of chances in business.
You were in the 10th grade when that happened?
Yeah, when I was walking along.
It's tough work. It's a tough work. You're not sure.
Your daddy was walking you home from school?
Spelling foreclosure.
Spelling foreclosure. And from that point, thank God, we started building it up, and it's been no turning back since then. But they were not raised, okay? None of them were that small at that. They weren't raised with silver spoons. They learned what it was like to have to go to work. When they were working for me, they weren't getting paid. They were putting leads together. They was walking around parking lots taking flyers because I was selling automobile insurance and getting them before they go to school.
It was child labor abuse.
Oh, absolutely. It was well, that's why you have kids, so that you can abuse them as they're getting older. But I would take them, hit a parking lot, and go out. Just put the flyers on the cars. Just do what you have to do. Put the flyers on the cars. That way, I'd be able to sell some automobile policies and be able to get clients. But so they learned how to work. They learned how to deal with not having the silver spoon. So they've earned everything that they do. That they've been able to achieve.
That's really cool. I'm about to jump to Mike Jr. Or Mikey or Michael. Before I do, though, I did want to ask you one more question. So, actually, two questions. Why did you want them to work somewhere else first? And I think it's not as much of a question, but something for our audience to hear, that you said we were way better together.
Well, the first part of it is I wanted them to go out and get experience, because if they had just come to work for me at that point, they wouldn't have known what it was like to work in the workforce. They wouldn't have known the responsibilities of what it's like to work with other people. They're just coming out of school, okay? And if I brought them in, okay, you got a job. First of all, I couldn't afford to pay them when they were just getting out of school. I truly could not afford to pay them when they were just getting out of school. I mean, Anthony worked on commissions from the time that he was 16, 17 years old, learning sales and being able to go out as soon as he can get his insurance license. But he was doing other things. He was making commissions. But I wanted him to go out and get experience. Go to work for a company. Go learn something so that you can bring it back to the business if that's the way that it's going to go. Or go be successful in whatever it is you want to do. I don't want it to be just, we have a business, so therefore you're coming in and, you got a guaranteed job. No, it wasn't like that at all. Go do something. Go learn what it's like to work for somebody else. Learn how to have a boss, okay, not just dad. Okay, go learn how to work for somebody else. I felt that was very important to do.
That makes a ton of sense.
When I was in college, I was actually out in the field selling final expense insurance. So I was paying for college at the time. I started making a little bit of money, and it was my sophomore year, junior year, or rather my second or third year. I liked college so much I stayed for 6 years. It was a good time. But I started making a little bit of money, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a year off, and I'm going to enjoy this money that I'm making. No school, I'm just going to work. And I remember going to my father and saying to him, listen, I'm going to do this full time. I'm going to go sell final expense full time. I'm going to take a year off of school so that I can make money. Now, to him, that was bittersweet because I was writing business. And I remember him saying to me, this is the toughest thing I'm going to say, but if you drop out of school, you're fired. I will not let you continue to sell for me. Now, I didn't know then. I probably could have just went under another FMO and got a better contract, but I didn't do that. I stayed. I was mad. I was mad at him because he made me go back. He made me not drop out of school. And now, in hindsight, I appreciate the fact that he did that. But at that point, when I did finally graduate college, I needed to stop working there. It was time for me to, like he said, go get a job someplace else.
That's good.
It was a good experience.
I love that. Appreciate you sharing that too. Mike Jr., what is the biggest thing that you've learned working with your father? And what advice would you give to the struggling agent out there that is trying to figure this thing out?
Sure. I would say, number one biggest thing that I learned, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy. It's not going to be just a, sit back and relax and let it go. Like you talked about some of the times where things kind of got difficult, right? And or money wasn't great. Those are opportunities for us to use the thermometer and test. Okay, something's not right here. What can we improve? What can we make better? Where are we missing the mark? And most times that we recognized it when we'd have some time to kind of look back at our business, we recognized, okay, we need to serve our people differently. I remember it was like 2004. We hired a company to come in to look at our business and say, okay, what can we do differently? What can we improve? And they said, well, what's your vision? What's your mission? What are you trying to do in this? What are you trying to do? And we had all of our people with us, all of our management team, our middle management team, all our top employees. And we came together and said, well, we need a vision. We need an actual vision that we align on, that we are all working towards. And personally, I think that's one of my proudest moments in the business was when we kind of came together and we all agreed that this is something that we want to do, that we want to positively impact lives. And those words began kind of a movement with our people, with the people that work with us. That we have people that are with us over 20 years, 8-10 people that have been with us for 20 years or more, and whether they're agents or they're employees, or, the executive team that we have. And these people are committed to positively impacting lives. So I think the part about it, though, that I think has been the most powerful for me in that time period was when we took the slogan, positively impacting lives, we left 3 dots at the end. The ... And every time we ever wrote our name Diversified, right below it, positively impacting lives, ... And I think that story of the ... is the most important part. I think that story of the legacy that we leave behind in the ... allows us to really kind of look to the future and say, okay, well, what is it, as a struggling agent, as an agent that's kind of going through the day-to-day, not really sure what to expect for tomorrow, they can look at it and say, tomorrow could be better. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be just handed to me, but I have to look to be able to truly help other people. And if I do, that ... is going to make a difference. I think that's the proudest thing that we have as an organization, to be able to be a part of that and to know that it's not just us. That's the other thing. Like, Diversified is not the Rose Boys, and it's so much bigger than that. And there's people that have embraced the ... There's people that have given their lives to the ... And I'm humbled by that. I'm truly humbled by that. I'm proud to be a part of an organization that does that. And there's so many family organizations in this business. There's so many different ones that are out there. And you talk to the fathers or you talk to the sons, and you don't hear the way that he talks about us. Like, I'm always humbled when he sits there and starts going on and on and on about us, and we're like, well, Dad, that's not true. Like, I don't see myself that way. I don't see things that way. So I'm always humbled when he starts going on and on and on and on, and other people come, oh, you should have heard your dad today. He was just going on and on and on about you. I think that, and then also the fact that he never gave it to us either. Like, it was never ever an opportunity for us to just be handed it. We had to earn it, and we had to put the blood, sweat, and tears in to be able to be a part of this organization. And to be able to sit at this table as equals from that perspective is totally different. You know, be always working towards that end where, you know, it was never going to be. He said it very clearly. I'm never going away. I'm going to be a part of this organization forever. I'm not going anywhere. But you will sit with me. I won't sit above you. Like, and that change, I think, is a difference in the way that we sit at the table. And yeah,
that's the definition of a true leader that, you know, can recognize other amazing people as a part of an organization and bring them in, have Anthony, you know, convince them to come in, and, you know, et cetera.
I didn't say convince. We negotiated.
They were in. They're just like, what's the terms? You know? I like the ... too, because it's like it also. I love that you spelled it out that way, because it's a continuation. It's like you don't stop positively impacting lives. Like this thing continues. And it's, you guys have really, the theme of the conference as we're hanging out is built to last, you know, and you guys have definitely built something to last, for sure.
Story's only beginning, for sure.
Yeah. And really, I would love to, Dan, jump to you, man. What was your story early on in this whole thing as you, I think, were the last to come in the business.
Yeah.
Even though he's older than me, it's crazy, right?
Oldest, just kidding. Supposedly youngest.
Youngest of the Rose brothers. Youngest of the four. There's a sister between it, Mike and I. You know, in grammar school, Mike and Anthony both went to the same high school. It was an all-boys school in northern New Jersey, Seton Hall Prep, and I wanted absolutely nothing to do with going to, you know, the same high school as my older brothers. I kind of wanted to do my own thing. Went to school in high school in a totally different county because I didn't want to be known as, you know, Mike's little brother or Anthony's younger brother, just walking through a hallway that they walked through a few years before. Coincidentally, ended up going to the same college and had a totally different experience. Anthony taking a 6-year route, Mike and, you know, going to the priesthood and seminary and things like that. And mine was all about basketball, right? So mine was literally, I wanted to be in the sports world. I wanted to either be a college basketball coach, I wanted to be, you know, pacing a sideline, whatever it may be, I wanted to coach.
Screaming at some kids.
Screaming at a 17-year-old, you know, because he's doing something wrong, or, you know, doing my best to get a 15, 16-year-old to look at me and come play for my school, whatever it may be. I wanted to be a college basketball coach. So my first job out of school was at a basketball facility in southern New Jersey. And I literally coached kids, recruited parents to come bring their kids to camps and clinics and tournaments and everything along those lines. And I, like, did the whole marketing for the entire, you know, the building, and filled summer camps, you know, 11 summer week camps in a row with, you know, Coach Bob Hurley, if you're a Jersey person, if you're, you know, an NBA guy, J.R. Smith, like, you know, when Kyrie Irving was a 7th grader, you know, he was going through the camps that I was working at. So, like, developing a relationship with those guys that, you know, literally won world championships. So that was going to be my world. That was going to be what I did. But I realized that, you know, 23, 24, I wanted basketball to be a part of my life, but not all of my life.
Yes.
And, you know, when it was going to be a part of my life, I still wanted the components of the coaching and the training and the things like that and the recruiting, right? Because I was a big component of the basketball world. And that's where, like, the family business kind of was like a natural progression of, you know, talking to the three of them. And, you know, it was, for me, it was always a, you know, well, there's nowhere to go. You know, look what's above me, right? Look at these 3 guys above me. There's nowhere to go. And then it, you know, quickly turned where, like Mike said earlier, they always put me at the same table where, you know, it was always, when I've got there, we were always, you know, equals in that regard. So it's pretty cool.
Yes. Who's the better? No, just kidding.
Who's better what? Go ahead. So that's the thing. So we're a super competitive family.
I can tell it. I feel it. I love it, by the way. I love it.
Summers we spend on the Jersey Shore every single summer, all the weekends on the Jersey Shore. No, not that Jersey Shore. We don't, you know, but a little side there. And literally every single weekend we'll play board games and, you know, things in the pool and all kinds of, like, volleyball and stuff like that. So super competitive. So go ahead, shoot.
Yeah.
What is
it? I love, like, what you're sharing, because I feel like our stories relate in a way. I didn't personally make sure that Kyrie Irving is what he is today, but, you know.
Now that's a bit extreme.
That's not what I was saying.
I know.
I told you, it was only in grammar school and high school when he was coming through these camps. I had nothing to do with it.
I'm a basketball guy. I went to a little Bible college. I went to college to play basketball too. Like, I was like,
oh, really?
I went to a Bible college here in town.
D2, D3?
No, it's NCCAA. It's a Christian Collegiate Athletic Association. Very small.
Yeah.
Played point guard. That was a blast. But, like, I went there to play ball. Like, I didn't want to get a degree. My dad wanted me to have a degree. I didn't care. Well, I went to play ball. And it was interesting too. Like I can relate to some of the stuff you guys are saying too, because my dad's like, you're gonna graduate college. You're just gonna do that. And really nobody in my family ever had.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
He was
Same
the first.
And so same. And so my and then I actually started selling part time. I was an intern at the office at 19. Started selling part time at 20. Made 6 figures at 20 years old. Was buying everybody in the dorm pizza because nobody else had any money.
Right.
And fell in love. But then I'm like, why would I keep going to college? He's like, because you're going to graduate college. Right. You can sell and make money the rest of your life. So all this stuff you guys are sharing, like I can relate to it so much. Like I was getting goosebumps through some of the stories. How does, and then I want to throw it back to Senior. How does the sports world and wanting to coach and be involved in athletics relate to what you're doing today?
So I would say our success is not measured by the 4 of us. It's by every single person that we come in contact with every single day. Yeah. Whether it's someone who's literally can't pay their mortgage, broke, coming to this business and expecting to, make it right away, and we have to literally coach them through that moment. Or someone who's an employee who, single parent, whatever it may be, and we have to work through that challenge. Sorry, I totally just blanked out. I hope we can edit that.
No, I think you're right on point. Like the last 2 years, our whole goal has been to whatever the agents have kind of needed, whatever their focus is. That's what our goal has been for the last 2 years. It has not. We're sitting here in the beginning of 2024, saying to ourselves, okay, it's time for us to really kind of have a big expectation, a big goal to really kind of take on the world differently. Because the last 2, it's just been responsive to what do you care about? What goals do you have? What are you looking to do this year? And then adding up our goals based on what our agents have been committed to. And I think when you talk about it from that perspective, then we have done it from that. It responded to our people and focused on our people first and foremost. And
the last 3 years, we had a big event within our organization at the end of 2021. We basically said, we have a 3-year plan right now. And our first year is to get our house in order. Get our house in order. The next most important thing for us was to figure out how to take care of our people, how to make all the people with us successful or more successful than they were already.
Yeah.
And then, like Mike said, now 2024, our growth year. But we put our people, our current people, that were a part of our family.
Yes.
When I say family, I mean our diversified family. Over us worrying about having to grow and make it bigger. They were more important.
And kind of like, full circle back into where we were before, when I kind of was like, there's nowhere to go. The 3 of them kind of said, what are you talking about? Like, there's always deeper and there's always wider. And it was not just deeper and wider for the 4 of us. It was deeper and wider for, all of the employees that we have, all the appointment setters, all the inside sales people that sell over the phone inside our office. It was wider and deeper for, someone who has an aspiration to be a manager in this business and train people and still sell in the field, like growing them to deeper, wider in every way and higher, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Definitely coming full circle there.
Coaching in a different way.
Totally different way.
Yeah.
Instead of screaming and hollering up and down the sideline because looking for a timeout, whatever, we're listening to phone calls, taking phone calls 11 o'clock at night just because an agent's going through something here or there. An employee starts the day at 8:30 and sobs because something's going wrong at home, and that's their release, whenever it is. So, like you said, coaching in a different way.
And you could still run up and down the office hallways.
Oh, trust me, I do.
Dan would never do that.
I do.
Dan would never do that. He would never do that.
There is,
absolutely never do that.
I told you, I'm the youngest brother. I always have the energy. I'm always the one that's wired through and through. So it's that happens.
You do get, all of you have really good energy overall, very positive energy, good optimistic energy that's fun to be around, that see life in a different lens and a bigger lens, and it's really cool. But not in a lens that's like you ever look down on someone or that you guys are ever perfect or arrogant. Like, what I mean?
Oh, no, we look down on people too.
Yeah. Just
Well, no, that was the thing. So, we weren't really allowed to be in this business unless we weren't going to get our hands dirty and feet dirty. And, we were kind of forced, to go and do the dirty work in every single way. in every single way. And I don't say that complaining. I say that because, like you said, when there was no silver spoon, that's what put us to the table.
Totally.
Right. And as a second generation agency, etc., there's no one that gets that,
100%. Yeah.
Cody, it changed tremendously 22 years ago. I'm a raving lunatic fan of Tony Robbins. I've been through all of his his mastery programs.
Wow.
And when I got involved with him at 50 years old, my life completely turned around based on who I was and what I would do and where I would go. And it affected them as well, because all of a sudden I went from that guy that was trying to build a business for me, for my family, to building something bigger than ourselves. And that was from learning that I had gotten from Tony Robbins. Tony taught me it's not about what you get, it's about what you give. And brought that back, shared that. Each one of them got involved in it in some way. I was over the top. I turned my life around 180 degrees. I became a different person. And that's 22 years ago. I was 50 years old when that happened.
That's incredible.
So and that's I'm sitting here and I'm listening to them, and I'm hearing all the things that Tony taught me to be able to. They had been learning it in school, learning it from different things that they saw, and then now I'm watching it take place in our business.
Yeah.
And in all the people's lives that we have come to matter in.
Absolutely.
And it's just, I'm just so prideful of it, and humble that they were able to take it to that next step to be able to do that.
Yeah. When you look back to like piggyback on that question, and we'll have you close it out with this. What are you most proud of? Because there's probably a lot.
Oh yeah, there is a real lot. My life is completely blessed because of my family, my sons, my daughter, the way that they are with their families.
Cool.
I sit back and I just watching dad or my daughter, mom, with their children. I have 14 grandchildren between these three guys and my daughter.
Just the two of them.
Between these two and my daughter. This will be the year for him. He just got married in November, so this will be
Congrats.
this will be the year for him.
God will.
Congrats on getting married.
Thank you.
God will.
I'll leave the rest up to him after that.
The 14 number's not done, but I sit back and things that I didn't do and thought of but could never get it done or wasn't committed to getting it done, because the only thing that mattered to me growing up was, before I can make my family happy, I have to achieve what the level of accomplishment that I need to, and then I'll be able to do all the rest of the things for my family. I had things pretty mixed up. That changed at 50 years old. So the thing that I'm most proud of at this point is watching them go through that now with their children, and watching as parents and the way that they give and seeing them around other people makes me more proud than anything on earth. That I've been able to give back to society and to God, all He's been blessed me with through them. So that's what I'm most proud of.
That's amazing. Well, He's definitely been good to you guys, and you're good people, building something special and helping a bunch of people along the way. If they want to learn more about Diversified, the Rose Boys, etc.
If I may, before you even answer that,
please.
I want to throw one other thing out there, because in this initial interview, I think it should come out that Anthony mentioned that we had a life-changing experience, a business-changing experience 2 years ago. We were acquired by Integrity. Okay,
Yes.
So yes, it is our agency, and we are building it, but we are employees now. Okay, of Integrity. We are an Integrity managing partner, and we are growing our business with with Integrity that has purchased us and has put the resources that they have across the nation.
Incredible resources.
Incredible
too. Yeah, for
resources,
sure.
and that's why we ended up joining in. So
They believed in us.
they believed in us. They
that.
came and they gave us that pat on the back, that acknowledgement of. Yeah, you guys are worth it. You what you're accomplishing, we want you, and so we're all equally managing partners, each one of us, in the organization. They told me I was retiring when they bought us, and I said no, I'll retire when I want to retire.
Just so you know, they was the three of us, not integrity. Nobody in Dallas said that. The
Y'all
three was
said,
us.
"Hey, you're retired." He's like, "No, I'm not."
When I'm ready, I'll retire. So, but we still
And
run
then the
our-
negotiations
And
began.
the negotiations began, and we're proud to be Integrity partners. And they did everything that they said they were going to do.
awesome.
When they came in and they purchased us, they said, "We're not buying you so that we can come in and run your company. We want you to continue to run this agency, Diversified, the Rose Boys. We want you to continue. We want you to continue running this entire operation and to grow it."
That's
and we
amazing.
have the same passion and commitment, okay, now since they purchased us as we did before.
I can feel that, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because what Integrity is building and what you are a part of is extremely special.
It is.
Beyond exceptional organization that is changing. I mean, you could say hundreds of companies, but like the amount of lives spans
Absolutely.
way more than that.
Absolutely. The numbers are staggering
Yeah,
on how
it
it's
is.
impacting,
It's exciting to be a
positively
part of it.
impacting. It certainly is.
Keeps growing.
Absolutely.
So if they want,
So as far as the answer goes to where to find us, to find out a little bit more about us, our website is thediv.com, www.div.com. If you want to email us, theroseboys@thediv.com, or text me. You know, I'm always happy to be able to respond to a text, 973-495-4704. So feel free to text, email, whatever you like.
I love that. URL, email, and text, guys. How freaking cool is that, man? I love that. That's all. That's really cool. So if you have questions, you want to connect, those are some ways to do that. Dan, Mike Jr., Anthony, and Senior, I appreciate y'all being a part of the Power Player
Cody,
podcast.
thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
man.
And we appreciate being here and being part of the organization.
Thank you so much.
First
Appreciate
class,
you.
Cody. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Appreciate y'all sharing your story. Thank you for hanging out and listening with us on the Power Player podcast. I can tell you what, we're going to keep finding the most amazing people on the planet in this industry that want to help people, want to share their story, and this group absolutely wants to do that. So if at any point you're like, you know what, dude, I'm not where I want to be. I need some help. I promise you, this group can help you. Either way, we'll see you on the next Power Player podcast. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Okay, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.